Hi there, I'm Andrea Darlas, and we are talking today with some of the cast members of Robert Alanis's latest film, Honest to God. I am so excited to have with me now the man who scored the film, Peter Spero. Thank you very much for being with us, Peter.
Good to be here.
So when I was preparing for these interviews today, and Robert can back me up on this, one of the first things I said, in addition to I love the film, which I did, I said I loved how you placed music under most of the scenes. You know, normally you don't always see that in a film, but I love that. I absolutely love that idea. So there's not the, of course it's not the entire movie. There are lulls where there's just speaking points, but that's very methodical. And why do that? I think it's a wonderful idea. But tell me the meaning behind that.
What happens for me is when I see the emotion of the scene and the pace of the scene and the timing of the scene and the way the people are moving in the scene and all the things, variables that go into creating the music underneath it, it inspires the music, right? Yeah. So, and it inspires it it's like making a movie and putting the music to it is like a huge puzzle, right? So we started out with a theme, which actually Robert encouraged me to write a long time ago, even before when he had first written the script, the original script, and then that becomes moments of that theme throughout the movie. But what I was saying is that when I put music in the over every scene, oftentimes Robert will say, maybe that scene needs less music, or maybe that scene will need, no music and stuff like that. So the director and the composer go back and forth like that a lot.
Right. It's a lot of collaboration.
Yeah, and I feel like that was huge, good part of our artistic relationship. And that helped me to learn a lot. Like Robert said earlier, I've done 3 films with Robert so far, and that first film was a huge learning experience, and the second one and the third one as well. I mean, not to spin off into another subject, but just so
I want to know, and I was going to say, why don't we go? Let's segue into that. Yeah. How you met, how you two connected in the first place. Well, sure.
Yeah, I actually got the chance to play with Aaron Williams on one of his songs that was in Robert's movie, Mind Over Mindy.
Okay.
So by playing that, and then I heard that there was going to be a premiere for that, and so I wangled a ticket for it. And it's like, oh God, maybe I can meet the director. So I met Robert and I gave him my card. And I remember he was very busy, obviously, and I said, hey, if you ever want, if you ever like me to do like a whole film for you, I would love to do that. I've never done it, but I'm pretty sure I can because I'm a composer and this and that. And he was very kind and very nice. So it was quite some time later that Robert finally called me and said, yeah, I've actually listened to some of your stuff and it's pretty good, so you get to audition for this first film. And he had me and 7 other people score for this little 3.5-minute segment of the movie.
So that's my question. How do you audition to score a film?
I saw a little snippet of it, and he wanted to know how I would interpret this scene.
Okay.
Because that's why he's looking for to see how someone is going to interpret the entire movie. Okay. And you start by having them interpret a particular scene. So I interpreted the scene in a good way, and then I was in the last 3 people that were left to possibly score this film. And then he gave us all a 7.5-minute, very complicated scene that had to go through several different emotions and different things and different pacing and different things happened. So I scored that one, and it worked out very well. And I remember Robert really liked it. But he was still, I was a brand new film composer. I had composed for a lot of things, but never a full film. And I hope he's okay with me saying this, but the first thing he said was, he says, Peter, he called me up and he says, I got 2 things to say. He says, the first thing I'm going to say is, I want you to do this movie. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. And he says, secondly, don't ruin my movie.
Yeah. It's like the warning.
Right.
Oh, that's awesome.
Joking, but serious. I was like, ugh.
But so you had never done a movie until Mind Over Mindy?
No, I'm a composer, but I played in rock bands. I've done a lot of albums.
Let me just preface it. You RCA, Blondie, Smithereens. I mean, big time names.
Yes.
Brag about yourself, please.
Oh no, I've been signed to several major labels, and I've toured the country and played, in front of crowds of 20,000 people a lot.
Right.
And that's an amazing portion of my life. That's what I call my heyday.
Yeah. And you did, and at what point did you think, you know what, I'd love to do a movie? Was that kind of the next goal?
Oh, that was always in there. It was always in the background in my head, because I would go and compose classical type music just for scenes, for things. Like I'm a drone pilot, so I would make a little drone movie and I'd compose for it. And it'd be, beautiful scenic type music. Yeah. And I'm like, God, I could do this for a whole movie. I know I could.
Yeah.
And Robert Alanis gave me that chance, and that right there is a huge special thing in a musician's life, because people don't get those chances.
No, not at all. It seems like such a cool process. So when you're watching, so take me back to that first scene, the first audition with the 3 minutes.
Yeah, I was scared to death.
Do you have a certain amount of, is there like a time frame that you have? Like, hey, you have 24 hours to score this?
Well, no, in this case, it was I had just a few days.
Okay.
And the same with the second scene that was 7.5 minutes, just a few days to get it done, because there were other people also doing it, and he had decisions to make.
Okay.
So he wanted to make those decisions and get on with his movie, because he had, look at what a director does in their movies, so many things.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so let's talk about Honest to God. So let's talk about this particular film. I mentioned to you, I love the fact that, from the beginning, with the footprints, from the very beginning in the opening scene.
Yes.
I'm not spoiling anything, but how do you go, tell me about your process, how you go from scene to scene. You have to, there's serious, there's funny, there's, this really runs the gamut of emotions, this film.
Right, and that becomes the puzzle of a film. And this film in particular started out, like a lot of films do, but this one in particular started out with a theme. And Robert and I got together earlier, and he said, I want you to write a theme for this movie, and this is going to start the kind of music that's going to kind of wiggle its way through this movie, right? You know how movies are. They have a theme, and then you hear it again in different ways, like maybe in a minor form or a major form, or happy or sad.
Yeah.
So I wrote this theme, and when we, and I say we because Robert and I went back and forth on this a lot, when we got it right, that was the start of this movie. So we put that at the top of the film, and then we decided that was going to be it's kind of Daniel's theme. So we
the real quick, which does become an earworm and does get stuck in your head.
Oh my God! Yes,
in a great way. In a great way.
Mine as well. Yeah. And so and then other people have to have offshoots. Like they develop, all the Benji has a very particular theme.
Yes.
Which is amazing. I mean, these actors that did this, they inspire my music.
Right. Right. There's a scene, and I hope I'm not giving too much away, but where one of the actors sings Danny Boy, but you can hear your music at the very end of that scene kind of coming up.
Yes.
That was methodical, right? You intended for that.
Oh, absolutely. Everything is intentional.
I mean, that was very emotional. It's a very emotional scene.
Every single frame is intentional.
And I will feel how soft you tread above me, and my grave will richer, sweeter be, and you will bend and tell me that you love me, and I will rest in peace until you come to me.
When Steve Parks did that scene, and I saw him go through those emotions of when he was singing that, because of his character,
right?
And because of his mental state.
Yeah.
He did that, and right in the middle of that singing, he changed, and I saw it in his face, and I said, oh, I get it. Now I know what to do here. So that little eerie thing that started pumping up, that started getting bigger and bigger, that I knew it was accentuating the emotions that I felt he had in his head at that moment.
It's
and
amazing.
then, I mean, at the end of that, I was like, I felt that way, and I know Robert did.
Oh,
it was like, oh my gosh, that was a moment for this film and for Steve Parks' character.
It's an emotional scene. Do you have to learn each character, and as you say, Danny has a certain theme, and then Benji, it's a more serious for his character.
It is.
You have to learn each character then and develop kind of a certain sound for each character.
Yes. Now Benji's scenes actually are a little lighter in all the other portions, because I had to develop this thing that took in all his emotional sides, which was pretty complex, right?
Right, and he started out, he was very childlike in a sense too, in certain ways. Yeah.
And there were other, easy themes. Like when I saw Mrs. Tucker, I was like, bam. I was like, that is getting like a sexy jazzy walk, ka-ching, ka-ching, and that just happened right away.
That was that's one of my favorite parts of the score too.
Yeah, and
This is
then
Dr.
you take all those pieces
Yeah.
and you have to wind them through the film. So at the end of the film, when people hear your theme at the end, as they do, and at the beginning, and as they walk through it, they feel like they've gotten a whole experience that's cohesive and something they can understand, right? You can't just, this is the kind of film where you can't just throw, 10 different songs.
Right.
This has to be something that winds its way through, and the orchestrations have to reflect in different ways the emotions of the character at that moment. And I just love doing that.
How many times do you have to watch the film in its entirety to piece everything together and to make sure the music is perfect for each particular scene?
Oh my gosh, so many times, so many times. First of all, I start by watching a scene at least 20 times before I even put my hands on the keyboards or start thinking of what the orchestration might be. I watch it again and again and again until it spurs something in my head that says, oh, that's what you want to write here, right? So for however that melody's come to me, we still don't understand how that happens. Robert says it's a higher power, so I'll trust him on that.
Right.
So we do that, and then once I start doing that, then we start piecing him into the film, and then we go to the next character and the next scene, and maybe the next scene is reflective of one that was earlier. Maybe it was like the theme, but it's played in a different way.
Yeah.
Like Daniel comes in, and when I have to do that, it's like it has to go happy sometimes, has to go sad sometimes, has to go slow.
Right.
Sometimes, like when he was sitting on the couch in one of the scenes, and we knew he was in I don't want to give it away either, but he was feeling sad.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, and it goes down to do 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 do. And you can hear the cellos going like da da doo doo. So it's the same theme, but you could tell this is about his moment there.
That's amazing. I love hearing your process. I never knew. We hear the music, and music is just so powerful.
Oh,
in
absolutely.
general. I mean, everybody emits a different emotion when they hear certain songs. So I just think it's beautifully laid over or spliced into, whatever the term, edited into. And I love the fact that you say it's such a collaboration with Robert. You two have a very strong partnership and a very great collaboration.
So our relationship, you've watched the movie Kung Fu, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, this is literally Master and Grasshopper only, and I say that with deep respect because Robert through his whole career has been paid very much close attention to the soundtracks in these films. Yeah. He knows all about soundtracks, right?
Yeah.
He has a soundtrack collection. He pays attention to how music goes in film, and that has worked tremendously for me, right? Because as a person who's doing their first film, I was like, oh, okay, so how does that work? I mean, I've seen movies and everything, but as we went through this process, he having that deep of a knowledge base, knew how to show me how to do it. So now I'm a way better composer for film, and I feel like, we'll work again, but I can also do other films and feel confident that I can do that process because of that Master Grasshopper relationship.
It's wonderful to watch, it's wonderful to see evolve, and you're just, you have become a soundtrack master. Peter, what do you want people who watch this movie to take home with them? What's the takeaway for them? What message do you want them to take home, and hopefully it resonates in their life?
That this film, if you see it once, you probably think, well, this is a person that should be honest with themselves and honest about their faith and honest to how they relate with God. But I feel like this transcends religion and all religions in so many ways, and just tells a person that they should go through their life and their relationships with people should be just like that. They should look at another person and be able to be completely open and themselves with this person, and to be honest with this person, and to have that build their relationship and their trust together. And I think that's what this film does. And for me, at the end, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. Yeah. It's just like, it's amazing, and I think that's what it does for me.
Going along with the final question theme for Honest to God, Peter, you have 3 weeks to live. What do you do?
Right, well, I have 3 children. They're all grown children. And what I think I do is I gather them all together, and they're all musicians.
Oh, cool.
And I rent out a nightclub for 3 weeks, and we have a party each night in this nightclub.
That's
right?
awesome.
And we all jam together, which we have done on stage before. All my kids, and my wife is a piano player too. My wife actually played in this film.
Yeah.
And that's what I would do for the last 3 weeks. I would just have a party every single night for 3 weeks.
That's a great answer. One of the best ones I've heard. Peter, thank you so much. Thanks for talking about your process, and it's a pleasure to meet you.
Of course, nice to meet you too.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.